Monkey was a little 13-pound stray Heinz 57 mix with teeth going everywhere that has some heart problems. And it wasn't like there was love at first sight. It wasn't that I raced to the shelter and had to get him. I just stepped up to do the right thing. Those 17 months with him were just incredible for us. Monkey's death was really hard on both my husband and myself. We knew what we were getting into, and we decided to just love him as much as we could.
Thanks, honey.
And when you can channel it and say, hey, I'm going to do something. I'm going to call this crazy hospice place Monkey's house, because Monkey didn't really like people, but he loved dogs. He would have just loved that dying dogs were coming to his house to live for a little bit before they left.
You're so pretty.
We have about 50 volunteers. We call the volunteers aunts and uncles. It's not like you go to a kennel and you need to change everyone's water. That's done already. If someone's having a bad day, I have volunteers that come and hold them or give them extra time. And that's what's most important here, is we just make sure that it's a good day for them in whatever their capacity is to have a good day.
Who's a crazy critter?
They'll come in, they'll look at our board, and it'll be dogs that need to have a bath, dogs that need a walk, or dogs that shouldn't be walked. So they'll kind of go within their comfort zone of what they choose to do. But they'll do anything. And what's really incredible to me is when we have a dog that I know their time is short, if I ask, could they please spend some time with them, that dog will be booked solid until they pass.
Daisy, you want to run in there?
It is kind of an around-the-clock job, but it's about giving them the quality they need, so that's what we need to do.
So everybody, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you're listening to us on YouTube or on the other podcast sites, please subscribe, like, share this interview with your friends, your family members, whoever you can get your hands on. We greatly appreciate it. We're trying to get this out to as many people to keep building this up. We've been having a lot of success, but we're trying to keep building this up. This story that we're going to be talking about is truly an amazing story. Personally, and I tell the truth on here, I don't BS people. If we had more people like Jeff and Michele that are really doing God's work in New Jersey, then this country would be a better place. This world would be a better place, in plain English. It's really incredible as a person that's a dog lover, animal lover in general, what you guys are doing. Jeff and Michele were CNN heroes. They do have a book out, and it is Where Dogs Go to Live. There's also another book out, Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day Long, and it has pictures of beautiful dogs that they've worked with and helped in there, and all kinds of quotes. It's really incredible. So sorry to ramble, Jeff, but you really, again, what you and your wife do is God's work. We really appreciate it. I think it's amazing. And you were a CNN hero, and you've been on other media sites. And I hope that this interview, when people watch it, will show people that we should be caring for animals, whether it's dog, cats, goats, cows, whatever it may be, because they are God's creatures. So, Jeff, thanks so much for coming on. Really, I appreciate this. It means a lot, seriously.
Well, Bob, I greatly appreciate being able to come on here, talk to you, have some conversation about these dogs that were obviously hospice dogs in shelters. They were going to be destroyed. And like you said, we bring them into what we call is our Monkey's House, is our nonprofit. And they live out the remainder of their days here.
Can you talk, Jeff, about where you found your love for dogs? And I know you own 2 cats too. So I guess I'll even say your love for animals in general. Where did it begin?
Thanks, Rob. You know, it really began in childhood. I think that's for a lot of us, it begins in childhood. Growing up, I always had dogs. My parents had big dogs like German Shepherds, Boxers. And Michele, on the other hand, also had dogs, more of the smaller ones. And she had horses growing up as well. So we both came from, and my family had horses too. So we both came from families that had a lot of animals, you know, and then we hooked up together, and, you know, next thing you know, the first thing we get is a dog. We end up with a horse. We end up with 3 cats, and it just kept growing and growing. And eventually in 2015, before that, we were fostering dogs for shelters. And Michele, being a registered nurse, she's retired now, but she was able to take care of the very sick dogs. The shelters knew that, so they would give us and say, hey, can you foster this dog? It's a senior dog, it's really sick. And we would do that for them. So then, that's kind of how we all got started. And in 2015, we started Monkey's House, where we could actually help more dogs.
So when we go into this, and you even brought this up for the theme, is dying doesn't mean you can't live. What does that mean to you? And how do you really bring that theme out towards Monkey's House and these dogs in general?
I'm glad you asked that, because that is in my book. And Michele actually said that quote one time. And I said, that is the quote that is Monkey's House, right? Yeah. Just because, if someone gave us a bad diagnosis, a terminal diagnosis, the sad thing is most people would probably be depressed. They might not live out the remainder of their lives. Their lives, they still have time to enjoy life. So these dogs, unlike humans, they don't really necessarily get down in the dumps like we would. So and we make sure that they live every day. Just because you're dying doesn't mean you can't live. It could be small things like going out and just having the sun on your face, but we take dogs to the Jersey beach. So we have field trips, we sit on Santa's lap, all the volunteers come over, they get a ton of love and a ton of fun of whatever they're able to do.
So when you go into Monkey's House, where did that name come about? Because it's really a unique name, Jeff.
Yes. Yeah, some people say Monkey's House. Is there a monkey? No, this is a dog hospice. We had a little foster dog named Monkey, and he was a little Heinz 57 mix. He's, all different breeds thrown together. Same thing. The shelter said, take him home. The shelter vet said, take him home and just let him pass. That's a lot of things. They'll say that. Take him, keep him comfortable, and let him pass. And my wife, Michele, she says, no, he could use some heart meds, because she knew he had a heart murmur and needs to see by a vet. Now, he was terminal, but, he could enjoy his life. And the shelter vet says, no, just take him home, because obviously there's a lack of money in a lot of shelters. We adopted him. We got him to our vet, our cardiologist. Instead of having a month to live, he had 17 wonderful months. Vibrant dog, running around. He slowed down at the end, or we'd have to keep him quiet. And then when he passed, we said, you know what? There's no resources for hospice dogs. There's very little resources. So what can we do? And we started Monkey's House. And, now instead of the 9 dogs that we fostered or adopted at one point, we have anywhere from about 25 plus or minus dogs here at any one time.
And for people that are listening, this is Jeffrey Allen. He runs a dog hospice along with his wife, Michele. They were both CNN heroes, been on many media outlets in general, also wrote 2 books. First book is Where Dogs Go to Live, and Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day Long. Definitely check that out on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Jeff, I want to ask you this. So you talked about 25 dogs at a time. How do you help all these dogs and even keep track of all these dogs? Because not to mention, like you said, you have at least 25 dogs at a time. You also have the cats that are yours too. So it seems like it's a lot to keep track of for 2 people. So, with all the dogs' illnesses and issues in general, how do you guys keep track of all that?
Well, it kind of gets second nature, I guess. Now, the good thing is we do have our volunteers. So before COVID, we had a lot more. COVID actually, slowed it down because it's in our home. Monkey's House is in our home. So it's kind of unique in that way. So we kind of really were isolating like we were supposed to. People have started coming back. Our volunteers are called aunts and uncles because we want people to feel like part of the family. They really have to be invested in these dogs. So mostly aunts, a few uncles, they'll come over and they'll spend a lot of time with us. But Michele, I don't know how she does it, but anything medical wise, like maybe from being the nurse, she remembers like everything medically about these dogs. It's pretty amazing. We also, to be honest, we also have a list of different medications that they get because we do both traditional veterinary care, but also non-traditional. So we could do, besides the traditional, we could do acupuncture, cold laser, We go every week. She takes a bunch of dogs to physical therapy, and they do underwater treadmill to help with mobility. These dogs they want for nothing, to be honest with you.
Wow, it's truly incredible. Like I said, what you guys do, the money, the hard work that you guys put in, and it's all for the love of the dog. It's not to make any profit. So it's really incredible. I want to go into this. You kind of brought up COVID. Obviously, COVID was tough for anybody. No one really talks about how tough it was for the dogs in general. A lot of dogs had it nice during COVID because their family members were home all the time. So there was a lot of that play and fun time for the dog because people were working from homes. Can you talk a little bit about how COVID affected you and also these dogs in general? Because they're used to having all these people around. Now there's just you and pretty much and Michele, and probably that's it.
It was very stressful. Luckily, I was able to work from home, with my job. So I was able to help Michele more on a day-to-day basis. I had to run down at lunchtime and do some things, or I didn't have my long commute to work. So that helped out. But the sad thing for the dogs are they get, like anything, they get attached to a certain person, even a certain aunt or uncle, and they really get attached to them. And even the aunt might want to come over twice a week, and they love walking the dog or pushing the dog in the stroller if it has mobility areas. And now that dog and that person are missing each other because it really wasn't that interaction that we could have. Like I said, we're starting to get back into that. So it's good to see these dogs enjoying themselves more. I always say, yes, Monkey's House is a great place for these dogs to live out their final chapter. But if they were in a home, it would be even better because, right? How much individual attention can we give 25 dogs? We do give a ton of individual attention, but like you as a dog, as a pet parent, you probably give your dog a lot of individual attention. If you had 25 dogs, it's going to be very hard for you to give them as much individual attention. So we love it when we can get more people involved.
It seems for some people, especially people that are home constantly, working from home, these dogs would be great because they don't, or somebody that's busy all the time, they don't need a lot of exercise. They're kind of, just want to be hanging around at home and you don't have to do as much. Whereas the puppy, you have to run around with the dog. There's all the training involved. These senior dogs already have that training in them. So why do you feel like people don't mostly lean toward these senior dogs when, they probably only have a couple of good years left and you can really create that happiness for them along with they're already trained?
Rob, I can't really give you an answer exactly, but I will say that you're absolutely right. Senior dogs, first off, they are so appreciative of anything that you give them, right? I mean, puppies are too, but you're right. You have to train a puppy. Puppies in it for themselves, which is nothing wrong with that. A senior dog, when someone adopts a senior dog, that dog is really appreciative of that and really bonds quickly to their person. I think two things that come to mind is, number one is some people they don't want to fall in love and lose something within a year or 2 years, right? If people always ask us, how do we do it? We do it because somebody has to do it. We don't, let me back up. We fall in love with these dogs as much as any pet parent would fall in love with their dog. So 25 dogs, we love them all. Last year was a tough year. We lost almost 20 dogs in 1 year. And let me tell you, each time it rips your heart out. But somebody has to do it. So if you could think like, look, this is not about me. This is about the dog. Even as an individual, I'm going to take this dog. I'm going to enjoy the couple of years I have with them and give them the best life. And you know what? They're going to give me the best life. They're going to give me a lot of love. I think that's a big one. And sometimes, honestly, it can be expensive because there's more medical bills, vet bills in those last couple of years. But then also check out, because there are other organizations that will help you with finances. So I think you have to really kind of research that.
Again, Jeff Allen here on the program talking about Monkey's House, also speaking about his books, Where Dogs Go to Live and Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day Long. We're going to talk about all that in just a second. Can you talk about the beautiful pictures behind you? Because we never really got into that so far, and I probably should have brought that up earlier.
There are just a handful of the dogs that we've had here at Monkey's House. Like I said, we've since 2015 we've had about 150 dogs come into our house. There's been luckily there's been a handful of what we call imposters, Rob. Imposters are dogs that the shelter vet says, yes, this is a hospice dog. We get them here. We get them on. They all get a tailored meal, home cooked, or raw food. They get the medicines they need. They get, like I said, the vet care, the physical therapy if they need it. And we've had over a dozen dogs that the vet says this dog's not a hospice dog anymore. So then we work with another rescue because we don't adopt out. There's a whole bunch of legalese on there, but then they will adopt them out. But so luckily there's been that. But these dogs are dogs. I think, yeah, all these dogs have been here. They're all at the Rainbow Bridge now. This is the older class, I guess you could call that, of dogs.
Right.
But we have this is just a small sampling. Michele downstairs has all the walls like full of pictures of dogs. It's just, that's what Monkey's House is. And most of the pictures are showing them, like I said, enjoying life. It's where dogs go to live. If they're at the shore, they're on Santa's lap, they're with their aunts and uncles. So we want to really highlight that. This is, people think of hospice as sort of a, I don't want to say a bad word, but a sad word in a sense. So we're turning that on its head because we're saying, no, it's where dogs go to live. We make this the happiest place on earth. I know you're a Disney fan. So we say, move over, Disney. Monkey's House is the happiest place on earth 95% of the time. The other 5%, yeah, our hearts break.
Right. So as we keep going into this, you've had so many dogs at the sanctuary. Can you talk about some of those special dogs and some of those also special situations you've had at the sanctuary at Monkey's House?
Sure. One that I like to talk about is Tequila. Tequila was a Cocker Spaniel. And just imagine us walking down the beach with 25 dogs, and Tequila's walking, smelling seaweed, sticking his paw in the ocean. And here this dog had cancer and had no eyes. He had to get both eyes removed, and the dog's having the time of his life. And that's how he lived. He was just full of love, full of energy. And that dog would have been destroyed had it not been for coming here 2.5 years. He enjoyed his life for 2.5 years. And that's like over and over. I can tell that story again. We had one dog, actually, she's still here, Violet. She came in 2017. She's a black lab mix. This morning, I took her to the Pine Barrens. We go out walking in the Pine Barrens. She came here in 2017 with a tumor on her face that was huge. It was blocking her eyesight. It was cancerous, so we had that removed. And she's a beautiful dog. Then hopefully she was going to be an imposter and get adopted out, but come to be that she actually ended up getting a different type of cancer in her jaw. So they wanted to remove the jaw and tongue, but we said that wouldn't be that wouldn't be good for her. So we actually used some other, like I said, we used non-traditional. It's neoplazine, which is a kind of a salve that helps eat the cancer away. So we've used that, and she's been here 3 years. With that treatment, we'd have to take her every like 6 months to get it done. She goes walk. She's my walking buddy. We go out walking in the park, and so those type of things. There's I can go on and on about stories of these dogs, and that's what the book does. Where dogs go to live. I tell 37 different stories in there about different dogs and about different modalities that we use to help these dogs and different things.
Now, you talked a little bit about where dogs go to live and how that book is set up. What about Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day?
Yeah, Life's a Dog Bone, Chew It All Day Long. That, where that title came from? Life's a Highway. You ever hear that song, Life's a Highway?
And I saw the music video that you guys did, and that's pretty good. We're going to definitely put that in the description box for people to watch too.
Yeah, so the movie, the music video was pretty cool. So that, I said, it'd be great to show that these dogs living, right? Show these beautiful dogs. And that's what I did. It's a coffee table book where dogs go to live. Right? And I have pictures of the dogs in there with a quote that matches each picture. there's some famous quotes, but most of the quotes I made up, but I think they came out really well. And so it's a perfect Christmas gift, I would think.
As we wind down the interview, there's a lot of people that do have older dogs, of course. And, I told you about my story in general before the interview started. What advice would you give to people that do have older dogs that really care about these dogs and want them to live that happy and long life as long as they can?
So we always say, look, have a great relationship with your vet. You should want to hug your vet, not in the time of COVID, but normally you should want to hug your vet, because you want them to hear your wishes for your dog and help you make sure that they have the best life at the end.
Right.
There's a lot of things. And the other thing is become as knowledgeable as you can. If all of a sudden they say, oh, your dog has a kidney disease, find out as much as you can about it, because knowledge is power. You don't want to be so upset those last, let's just say, even year of that dog's life to miss out on it, right? You don't want to be so upset that you're missing out on the enjoying of that last time with the pet. So the more you know, the less you're going to stress out, the more you're going to be enjoying your dog.
I agree 100%. As we wind down with these last few questions, again, in the audience questions, Jeffrey Allen, again, where do dogs go to live? Life's a Bone, Chew It All Day Long. Those are the two books he has out. And also, definitely check out Monkey's House and what he's doing there in New Jersey as a dog sanctuary for these dogs that are, trying to live out their lives in happiness and joy. And it's a hospice organization for them. So we're going to get into the end of the interview. So, Jeff, can you tell us, in a world where people are hooting and hollering about politics, the coronavirus, which has been crazy for the past 2 years almost, and also other insanity going on in our country and our world, what should people learn from dogs?
You know what they should learn from dogs? A lot of that stuff doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. And I'm not saying COVID doesn't matter. COVID does matter. But what I'm trying to say is, like, take politics.
Yeah.
We don't even do politics at all, right? Because
Can't control it.
You can't control it. And you know what? There's people, both sides have different views, and some on both sides have good views, right? So we don't try to bring that in. I think what dogs can teach us is, look, dogs will love a liberal, and they'll love the conservative and the moderate exactly the same, right? They don't care about the politics. Right. And obviously here at Monkey's House, we don't care about the politics. We care about dogs.
Great way to end the interview. How can people help you guys out, as for people that are watching the interview?
Well, I think there's a few things. Obviously, we're a nonprofit, 501(c)(3).
Right.
We run on donations. So if someone wanted to donate, we greatly appreciated it. You can always go to monkeyshouse.org. That's our website. And there's different things there. There's different ways you can donate financially. You could do the Amazon wish list, etc. I think also we'd love if people would get the book and spread the word, because really what we're trying to do is not just those 25 dogs at a time that we are saving. We are trying to get that message out that, look, senior dogs, these hospice dogs, they still have a lot of life to give, a lot of love to give, and love to receive. So spread the word about Monkey's House, help get our mission out there. And if you want to donate, we greatly appreciate it.
This was Jeffrey Allen, and he also runs Monkey's House with Michele Allen, his wife. They were both CNN heroes. If you're looking for the two books that they wrote, was Where Do Dogs Go to Live and Life's a Bone, Chew It All Day Long. Definitely check it out on Amazon or wherever books are sold. And also, if you could throw them a couple of bucks to help out Monkey's House, I think they would appreciate it, and I know the dogs would for sure appreciate it. Amazing what you guys are doing over there in New Jersey, Jeff, and I really appreciate your time, and I hope we can have you on again to really talk about the good work that you're doing. It's really impressive, and I'm extremely grateful.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having us on, helping us bring our mission to your audience, and hopefully helping them out too, understanding that that senior dogs, if their dog's getting older, have some medical issues, you can still enjoy time with them. You can still take them to the beach. You can still do some fun stuff with them. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.